Well, we're getting information on the flu season from Dr. Rick Johnson, Inyo Mono Health Officer, and he says it's time to turn our attention away from Ebola for a moment and focus on influenza. 2 people have died from Ebola so far in the United States, but thousands are expected to die from influenza infections and complications this winter. Now, the flu season has begun earlier than last year, with high levels of illness being reported from states in the southeast. 5 pediatric deaths have been reported so far. Over 500 hospitalizations have been reported nationally, and Dr. Johnson notes that Southern California is reporting increased flu activity with an outbreak and a long-term care facility occurring already. Only sporadic activity has been reported so far in the Eastern Sierra. Now, 2 additional facts are cause for concern, including influenza A viruses. They're the most common so far. Now, seasons in which this strain predominates are associated with more severe illness and death, especially in older people and young children. Now, more than half of the specimens analyzed so far indicate that the virus circulating in the community has mutated. This means that the vaccine will not be as effective as it usually is. Now, what should you do? Dr. Johnson suggests get your flu vaccination from your healthcare provider, pharmacy, or health department. This is the single most important thing you can do to prevent serious illness or death from the flu. Dr. Johnson says, as always, but even more important this year, people at high risk for serious flu complications should see a healthcare professional promptly if they get flu symptoms, even if they have been vaccinated. And of course, take the everyday preventive actions to prevent infection with and spread of infections, including cover your coughs and sneezes with your sleeve or elbow, stay away from sick people, stay home from work or school if you are sick, and wash your hands often. All good advice from Inyo Mono Health Officer Dr. Rick Johnson. And a decision has been reached in the Deep Springs College going coeducational. The previous all-male college will now be open to women. Now, recently, Inyo County Superior Court Judge Dean Stout ruled that, quote, the court hereby decrees that the L.L. Nunn Trust should be modified by substituting the word people for men in the phrase for the education of promising young men in paragraph 1 of the instrument, end quote. Now, previously, Judge Stout had signed a preliminary injunction to stop Deep Springs College from going co-ed. Now, this injunction came about in the legal action initiated by a majority of Deep Springs trustees to ask the court to interpret the language of the trust established by L.L. Nunn in 1923 to create Deep Springs College. That trust refers to the, quote, education of promising young men, end quote. Now, most trustees reason that 90 years later, society now demands inclusion of women. 2 of the trustees disagreed and challenged the court action, but now Judge Stout ruled that the Deep Springs Trust should substitute the word people for men. You can see more on this story on the Deep Springs website, deepsprings.edu. Well, last Thursday at approximately 6:30 p.m., the Inyo County Sheriff's Office was notified of a structure fire in the Furnace Creek area of Death Valley National Park. Now, the Furnace Creek Laundry facility that was located near the historic Furnace Creek Inn was completely engulfed in flames. Farabee's Jeep rental suffered some minor damage. The good news, no injuries were reported. Now, an investigator was requested through the Inyo County Sheriff's Office to follow up on cause and origin. Those details will be made available once the investigation concludes. Now, in addition, the Inyo County Sheriff's Office also assisting Beatty Volunteer Fire Department, Southern Inyo Volunteer Fire Department, National Park Service, and the CHP provided traffic control. All right, we know a lot of people got into the holiday spirit with events in the Eastern Sierra over the weekend. We'll show some of the Bishop Christmas Parade in our next segment. But let's go now to Mammoth Lakes, where the annual tree lighting ceremony was held Friday at the Footloose Sports parking lot, along with that toy, clothing, and food drive. Hey, Sierra Way Media's Rob Gill and Kyle Scalise, co-hosts of The Drive on 92.5, emceed that event.
Tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song.
All right, well, it's always nice to see that tree lit as folks enter the town of Mammoth Lakes. We'll be back with more news.